So, where we left off last week, our adventurers had believe they found the peak where the wyvern, the corrupted wyvern, was nesting, and after beginning a bit of an ascent and avoiding some smaller, hungry, scavenging wyverns, the group found a cave that seemed too small for anything bigger than like a adolescent wyvern to fit in. But through this, found a shaft that goes straight upwards about 220 feet. That Volu shuffled his way up, tied off a rope, and threw it over the side of the mountain, ready for the others to make it. Before feeling a wave of hot, rancid air blow against the back of your neck, and turning round to see the jagged teeth slick with bile, pair of sealed over, blistered eyes that almost like twitch underneath the scar tissue. And we join now as Volu faces a colossal, in description, not in mechanics. In mechanics, it is still large. Malformed wyvern. However, for Volu, because obviously the brackets are quite big, so large ranges from like a horse to a giant, right? Like some giants are just large. Essentially, this wyvern is around twice the size a normal wyvern adult should be.
So Volu's seen this. No one else has any clue,
No
do
one,
they?
no one else has
This is
any
going
clue
on.
that any of this is going on. So Volu, as you look, you see this wyvern, twice the size of any wyvern you've ever seen before. It almost looks bloated and misshapen, with its body covered in patchy, glistening scales that shimmer with the unsettling purpley red tint. Their wings are massive and heavy. You see one of them almost drags awkwardly, folded in a weird position. It seems capable, maybe, of flight, but it doesn't look like they are. It's definitely not going to be nice maneuverable flight, if that makes sense. Thick veins you can see pulsing just beneath the skin. Give me a nature first off, please.
13.
There's something different about this, but on that roll, there's almost not enough time here to think about it. As again, the snout moves over your direction, and in this time you feel the air like suck in from around your shoulders as it takes a deep, deep breath, and you notice behind it the enormous stinger-like tail that seems to be dripping with some sort of purplish ichor that comes up. I would say that you can tell, Volu, it's like tensed for attack. But it does seem still to be, if you get the impression it knows something is here, doesn't know exactly where you are, or is investigating, right? You might not be a threat, or you might not be a food, but
I thought you said that, so like he was like at the end of last week, he was like there to him.
Yeah.
So he sees him.
Not necessarily.
The eyes are completely black, scar tissued over. So it has like, whereas when you've seen before the infection sort of growing, it's like if you imagine it's got like
manifested on its face,
a face hugger there, but that's infection. So it doesn't seem capable of just straight sight, and it is trying to locate by like almost deep sniffs of the air. Although Volu, again, the way it's reacting, it knows something is here. So it definitely has methods of being aware of its surroundings.
What? Remind me, I'm still done with classifications. Is the dragon classed as a beast?
No, beast is its own thing.
That's what I thought, and I was just checking. So I'm not going to do the thing that I was just thinking of doing, I will instead cast protection from energy, which makes me resistant to one out of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. So I'll choose acid because a wyvern's acid, isn't it? Not fire.
So normal wyverns are poisoned with a slight acidic bite. That you've seen though, the liquid dripping from this mouth is like when it hits the floor.
So acid.
You don't know for certain. Normal wyverns don't, but you would guess acid in this situation.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll cast that and then.
Okay, so first pause there because there are verbal and somatic things to that. So you quickly start to cast and it twitches as if it was holding for any sort of sound or sight that wasn't what it was ready for. You will get the spell off as it was holding to bite anything that gave any sort of not threatening as such, but unknown action, if that makes sense. If it didn't know what you were doing, it was biting you. So it is going to attempt to take a chomp.
I knew anything I would have done would have promoted an attack. So
sometimes it's good to do nothing.
So.
Oh, do the dodge action. Always remember the dodge action.
Always start with the dodge action. I'm holding for that.
Bolu forgets about the dodge.
So, a 19 to hit you as the large jagged teeth stomp forwards. Almost you are instinctively moving, but having to finish the motion as it tries to bite down onto your arm.
Necrotic damage, I presume.
Okay, you have just become resistant to acid.
Ooh.
So, 10 points of straight damage, as that is teeth, right? 10 points of it just chewing through your arm, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then only 1 point of acid, as you feel the sting and the burn. Volu, you can tell that that was just a wild bite, but it's almost trying to do that thing as they try and jump you further into its mouth as it's gripped onto your arm and trying to make jump you in. And we will start a full initiative now as your protection spell is off and is running. For those below, still silent above. Are you both just below? Are you just waiting under the shaft, exactly where he went up?
Yeah, I mean, just waiting to see a sign or hear a sign, or I think I'm assuming he's coming back down the shaft after.
And we've still got our climb speeds because the potion hasn't worn off. It'd been about 10 minutes at most.
That's
you
so,
still have climb
but
speed.
I'm quite big, and I think this shaft is really.
No, we
can't get
issue
out.
is not you fitting.
No. That wasn't what I was saying.
For you to go outside if you need to.
Wasn't even that. It was I am still up in the stalactites. Still
so
just I'm there, right, but I'm just there waiting. I haven't heard anything, and even if there was a loud crack, my perception's shite.
It's too high up through the shaft to hear anything at this point. So, Volu, what was your initiative?
It was 19.
Nice, and they only got a 7, so you definitely go first.
Okay, so I'm still in the hole, right?
Well, not exactly, because you are about 5-10 foot from the hole. So if you remember, the crack came up, and then you moved over to the edge and threw the rope over, and then you were kneeling just outside of the hole, tying off. So you're 5 foot maximum from the hole, right? It's the next space over from you.
If I move, does it have an attack of opportunity?
It used its reaction to bite you because it was holding an action.
Yes, and it hasn't had its initiative yet. So Volu, I think that you could, if you imagine, like, it's doing that classic heron thing of like trying to like, it's got you by the arm and it's now trying to like flick you up in the air so it can chomp on you. You can gather that it's too busy, like, just doing that in the air, trying to get whatever it is that it's just chomped to attack at you in this moment if you ran for it, if that makes sense.
So,
but
okay,
I'd say that as you're sort of looking, it's sort of trying to drag you up in the air. You've got to the left about a 5-foot run and then the rope over the edge out of the side of the mountain. Or it's 5 foot to your right, the shaft. Now, to be very, very clear for Paul, as you not necessarily as with it with the rules, if you go the rope way, rope provides advantage. So rope way is open but advantage climb. Shaft is protected and closed but no advantage. Does that make sense?
Yes, I did know that, but
I was just checking in terms of.
It's good to explain anyway.
But yeah, so you're sort of like in this moment dangling by your wrist as it's about to try and throw you up in the air, and you've got a moment to.
So as I like drop, because it's kind of trying to catch me on a cat. As I drop, I land and go 5 feet into the hole and try and get 20 feet down. And can I use a bonus action to let what have I got in my pockets? So that will indicate that something's wrong.
I was actually describing this to someone this week and described it like the Hobbit going into Smaug's lair and turning around and seeing himself face to face with this dragon. What has it got in its pockets?
I am going to drop some rations out of my pocket to indicate that it's me. So as that goes down, it will hopefully alert people down at the bottom.
Okay. So for Dante, and it's not like, lucky for Dante, it's not like a brick of ration because it's probably hit the walls on the way down and stuff. So you're not hitting the head by dried oat cake and honey and shit, right? Like, but like the first crumbles is like you almost shield thinking it's going to be rocks, and then you're holding like pieces of oat, and there's like pieces of oats and stuff sort of trickling down from the cabin above. Volu, as you rush, you can feel the sort of heat and the pressure of the creature behind you as it's sort of chasing after you. You slide and hitting into the darkness of the hole, begin to sort of make your way down. No ropes this time, just handholds, small outcroppings, and the hope that it can't force its way in here.
Would we have seen a change in the light as he comes down the shaft?
Yes. However, I'm going to ask for a straight intelligence from Dante because he would have blocked that light even if he was just climbing down naturally. Do you know what I mean?
True.
Can you tell that it's... you're muted, sorry, bud.
It's funny you should say that because I just did that. I mean, I didn't actually add this, so I'm just finding where my intelligence is. Oh, plus. Yeah, okay, so it would have been 13.
So I think... with everything, I don't think Dante knows shit alert right now, but there is that like, is he coming quicker?
I'm just gonna like lean over and yell up, Dante, that's me. Hello, me.
Do you want to check that intelligence check again, bud?
Yeah.
Volu, careful, you're dropping things.
Is he coming back?
Volu, that's just echoes from below right now as your heart is beating in your ears. Can you make me an athletics, please, as you hit the first few ledges and start trying to scurry down?
Oh, thank God. Dirty 20.
Does he?
Okay.
Is he say having to go at half speed, or is he?
Yes, he's going at half speed.
So I'm only getting 10 feet into the hole.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you find like a good rhythm, and even with the pain in your arm, and as you're looking at it, Volu, definitely, like, if you imagine all of the stuff that isn't armor, that is like normal clothing and such, has just burned away. You're literally like bare armed with a bit of sleeve at the end, bits of blood and such. And I would say, you manage to get a good rhythm, and you're moving down, only managing to get about 10 feet, as you are much slower without the rope. And if you're imagining, especially for someone with little arms and legs, like every little, and you're trying to find your way down. As we come to its turn, Volu, there is a pause, and then listen. You hear it's almost like two-toned. There's like the wyvern screech that you've heard previously, that sort of high-pitched whine, and then a much deeper roar sort of echoing out at the same time. Those at the bottom of the shaft would hear that. Though whether you know directly it's related to that, because it sort of echoes out everywhere, like it comes outside as well, like you hear it, through the entrance and everything. Before Volu, a darkness shifts over the hole, and then the stinger, you see blindly, wildly, just scratching around inside the hole. It is going to make... Oh. Okay, like so you are lucky for you. And actually, nope, never mind. Unlucky for you. I've just remembered my monster stats.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
So, that's cruel.
Volu, there is... If you imagine, it's like the moment in a movie where the person's strapped to a saw blade turny thing, as you can see this thing like getting closer down the hole, as it's just this almost foot-long stinging prod that is dripping with, like, if you imagine the actual thin stinger bit that comes out of the needly section, is like a good, decent nearly a foot long of actual stabber, and there's nothing you can do, Volu. If you move your left hand, you're gonna fall. If you move your right, it's gonna know you exactly where you are, as the stinger stigs into your shoulder for a nat 20 to hit you.
Oh shit!
Can I use my heroic inspiration to make it roll again?
You can.
Nice one.
And I will.
Another nat 20. Another
Don't
nat
you
20.
dare.
I'll do it on fully open. Okay, so that is, with its plus, a 14.
Misses.
Okay, so Volu, you almost like it grazed your shoulder, but actually it's almost caught. If you imagine, as you've been climbing, there's a bit of your clothes that are out of place, and it's just straight through the clothes, missing you entirely. But almost you hear it into the wall behind you, and you almost realize, like, you're pinned here. You're gonna have to, like, cut that bit of clothing away if it doesn't remove the stinger. As we come back to your turn, I'm gonna once again ask for perceptions. That you can either perception or intelligence, so it's either a straight intelligence or a perception.
I'm gonna perception.
Definitely doing intelligence. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. 14.
Oh, I rolled a B. Nat 20.
Woo!
No.
26.
What is this B?
Yeah. Okay, so Dante, I think for you notice. So you saw the first light cover, and he starts climbing down, and he's dropping things, and you're like, is he rushing? He's dropping things. And then you actually notice the second shadow. If you imagine, like, that light entirely blocks over instead of just being something in the middle of a light hole, right? that immediately says something's behind him. Something bigger is blocking the hole behind him. And for a Lenny, as you're sort of watching, one of Volu's leaves falls through and is drifting down, but there is a big splodge of blood on it.
Immediately, I would be like, shit, he's under attack. I would probably look at the hole and then go, I can't get up there. Volu, drop. Can you drop? We'll catch you.
Volu, jump. I'm here by the hole.
As we come through to Volu's turn. Now, I will say, just to be clear, it is not just like it is a natural crack, right? So it's not a smooth, nice, like it's not quite twist and turn, but it is like if you just drop and go free fall, there is stuff to hit on the way down. So I'm just going to be clear about that it's not a nice. It's a natural forming crack, if that makes sense. So Volu, to move any further, I need another athletics. That's if you're so if you want to do other things that help, that's separate. But just to move further in this from this point, I need an athletics.
So is it going to be an action to remove the stinger from the clothes?
No, it will be your item interaction.
Okay. All right. So if I'm falling, it's gonna be
falling.
Dexterity, isn't it? If
yeah.
Okay. Did I hear them shout?
You did hear very quietly the shout.
Okay. The fact that I can hear them, I do trust them enough. I'm gonna use my action to switch my so turn off the resistance to acid, the concentration, by doing enhance ability and doing Cat's Grace.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna remove the item and let me drop.
Okay, so can you make me an acrobatics check, please?
As we're not actually in initiative, can we? Well, can at least I say that I'm going to be prepping to catch him and holding on to a stalactite at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not holding on to a stalactite, but I am going to be also underneath the hole to try and grab him if he comes down.
If I miss him.
200 foot.
He's only little.
How long would it take me to drop 200 feet?
Instantly. The second you let go. And you do 22d10 upon landing.
And I'm just imagining if I grab your arm, it's coming out its socket.
I got a 21.
Okay, so the 21 on the acrobatics is at least going to help you a little.
I mean, he could try and grab at intervals, couldn't he, on the way down? I don't know.
That's kind of what the acrobatics is for.
Yeah.
Just trying to do the monk slow fall.
So to kind of slow it down is the acrobatics, like
yeah,
as you're falling, kind of.
Yeah, it's still 200 foot, but yeah.
Who's got the cloak with all the patches on?
Ichi.
I was wondering if there was anything useful in there.
There's a ladder.
Yeah.
Wasn't there also a door? I don't know.
A window that could have got you through the back.
Okay. A window to the wall. Till Volu falls through the floor.
Okay, so Volu, you fall a good 100 foot. Managing to twist and turn, and almost as you're not stopping yourself from hitting ledges, but as you're hitting the ledge, you're just rolling with it and just into the next one and just almost trying to like curl up into a ball and tumble down as best you can.
Yeah.
You take 18 points of damage, and that is halved.
One sec.
That's really not bad.
That's not.
It's not bad at all. I'm happy with
But
that.
he is not all the way down, as he is still about 100 foot up from the end of the hole. But you are a bit sore, sort of wheezing on a ledge, but you are well out of any reach of the thing above. That you can just hear roaring and clattering above you.
Yeah, I was just checking because it said something about I don't take damage, but it's only if I fall 20 feet or less. So never mind. Yeah, so 18 points.
Yes.
Okay, I stop at that point.
That's where you come to a natural stop. I'm going to say that your cloak like hooks onto a bit.
That's
of a
what I was hoping on. Because of it, I wasn't gonna fall a flat 200 feet. I knew I was gonna hit it at some point.
That's basically what the acrobatics was for. Is can you? Because at that speed and tumbling and all those things, can you actually halt yourself? And the reason you still take 18 is because your arm nearly just came out your socket, catching you. For you know what I mean, like falling at that distance, you've literally
No, but that's fine. I'm now 110 feet away from the thing.
So can you give me? To be fair, so dropping. Oh, 1 second, sorry.
Hang on, 1 sec. I've just got to roll for concentration.
Yeah, almost all the wind knocked out of you a little bit, Volu. And as you're looking up, the hole is still blocked of light, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So you can maybe tell it's still stood over the hole, but at this distance, hard to pick out any details now other than the scratching and scrabbling.
Volu, are you there?
And that's all I had for my turn. Like, I don't have any bonus actions or anything I can do.
I'm assuming.
Well, no, sorry. What I was going to say before the call is dropping is free, so you've still got all your actions.
Yeah.
No, because I casted my action to
stop himself.
Yes, you took an action, but you can move normally as well. I mean, you can do your move action to just keep going down at a normal pace rather than plummeting.
Yeah, I'll move another 10 feet down.
How close do you have to be to the telepathy thing?
30.
Okay, so for the others, you can now hear. You still can't see anything because if you imagine the hole just goes black when somebody's filling it. But you can hear the sort of breathing and the occasional foot on rock, and you would have heard the of somebody falling down at pace.
I'm still just waiting to try and catch in case he shoots out of this hole.
Do halflings have dark vision or not?
Nope.
No, they don't.
Do you Ganassis? Or do I? I think I do.
I think you gained it.
Yeah. Or at least I feel like you told me I had it. Either or.
It'll be on your character sheet, hon.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look. Oh yeah, dark vision. Yeah. Okay. It's not. If I was to, because if we're not in combat, am I still taking this as like an action and am I still using action bonus and all that jazz?
Just for now, while we're while we're sort of tracking time.
So I can't say produce flame and then hold to catch him.
No, really.
No. Okay, then I'm going to maintain ready to catch him then.
Okay. So Volu, as we come back that round to you, as you begin climbing the last sort of stretches down, can you actually make me a Constitution save as your entire body is on fire? Like, remembering as well that you had just climbed up 220 feet. You had only been out of the hole 30-ish seconds while you tied some ropes. And now you're back in the hole descending at very quick speed. So this is less of a, it's not that the handholds are difficult, but all of your muscles are like wanting to give in.
So this is not literal fire.
Yeah, no, this is muscle shaking. Yes. Every fiber of your limbs want to let go. Your fingers are raw and cut up from the rocks.
Is that not athletics still? Or?
No, well, so look, purely it can be, but I am trying to make things more interesting than just going athletics.
Well, it's athletics and constitution. It's are the exact same for me, so it actually doesn't make a difference. 11.
Okay. You're getting down, and for the others, you can now see him, and he's getting into the last 50 feet when Volu. It's actually more rocks and other things descending from above that, as you try to shield, you just slip, and you do begin to tumble downwards. So, luckily, both ready to catch. We'll say Dante first of all. You are prepped, but can you give me an athletics to try and catch him securely? You're muted.
Any kind of advantage or anything?
No, I would have I'm not giving disadvantage because you've got climbing speed and stuff like that, but you are essentially like clinging to a stalagmite while catching him one-handed.
22.
Okay, so you each take 6 points of damage.
Oh, if I knew I was going to take damage, I wouldn't have caught him.
That's why I'm there too.
And Dante, you are, and it is
how much damage did I take? Sorry.
6.
Okay.
So and Dante, even though he's light, it is still like that weight of a full person in your arm out of nowhere before you are able to just lower him down into Eleni's arms. Yeah.
Because it's only 10 feet between floor to ceiling, isn't it? Because that's what we said.
20, I think.
It's 20, but I'm 7 foot odd, and
it's because of how tall you are. It's because of how tall both of you are.
You two combined makes it 10 foot.
But Volu, boots resting on the ground, you are, at least for now, clear of the creature.
Are you okay, Volu? What happened?
1 second. I'm just gonna heal up because that fall hurt quite a lot. I'm gonna just cast Cure Wounds on myself.
Okay.
That's not a D. That's a D20. I don't need that. I need a D8.
A D8. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cure Wounds D8.
Yeah.
God's sake, 3 3s.
9.
9. Okay, that gives me a little bit more. Cool. Yeah, I've made it easier for you guys to get up there. That's why I've not come down with the rope. But what we're looking for, that's its home.
Well,
and I'll show them my.
Yeah, and then looking, they are sword-sized stab wounds that in the shape of teeth. For Volu, now that you're on solid ground, your head's clearing and the adrenaline's sort of starting to leave, can you give me another nature check, please? Yes, Dante.
I want to do something cool if you'll let me. Firstly, because I'm sure I've asked this a couple of times, and every time I've asked this, I feel like the answer was yes, but when we didn't use it. Do I have a gunpowder barrel?
I don't think you do. When we talk, no, you used one on the bridge.
We had 2. I used one.
Yeah, and you used one on the bridge, and you used one against the researchers during the fight.
Oh fuck! Fine.
But hang on.
You've got smoke bombs. You've got
smoke bombs.
You've got pitch.
I have a keg of pitch.
What's pitch again?
Pitch is like burning oil. Yeah, tar and oil.
Does it explode?
Less it burns, it doesn't really explode, but it causes stuff to stick.
Yeah.
Shame.
For you, you know that you could make a bomb out of it, but it's not something you can do
like
out here in the
bomb
wilderness.
with it because the pitch would. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what I'm looking for. Right, well then I'm going to retract my cool thing.
Got ball bearings. Got a mirror.
I mean, I do like looking at myself.
That's why I haven't shown it to you before now.
Yeah. And Volu, what was your nature?
Nat 20, so 25.
Okay. So, few things. First thing, the first thing that sort of broached out to you, and the last sort of like you saw some pieces of eggshell that sort of, because you were looking for, like in the notes from the scout, it talked about it won't leave the egg and those things. You saw broken pieces of eggshell. The other thing that really, really jumped out to you, and it's almost like it's like it stood out because it's wrong. It's not quite right. Every other infected you've seen, it's been like a creature with an infection. That one looked more like it had naturally grown with the infection. So, like, for example, you don't think...
And there was broken eggs.
Egg shell. And, like, for example, the scar tissue on its eyes, if you imagine, it didn't look like it had eyes and then they were scarred over. It's like the scar tissue joined to the skin at the eyebrows, and it almost looked like it grew scar tissue. For Volu with the Nat 20, if an egg was infected and that thing was born infected from the get-go, seems to interact differently than if you are infected. If you imagine this one was more symbiote as opposed to host. Does that make sense?
One with the infection not being enhanced.
Yeah. And I think I will say with the Nat 20, you think this is whatever was in the egg, not the mother or whatever the scout talked about.
The egg was infected, yeah.
I mean, very possibly so was the mother.
I've been the father.
But yes, you definitely think that something slightly different than what you've contended with previously.
So, Volu, what are we dealing with? How big was it?
Oh, bigger than any of the wyverns we've currently seen. It almost seems like it's unnaturally gotten bigger, and almost seems like it's different than what we've come across before. If we're going to take it on, we're going to need to have a lot more prep, I think. I managed to get away by just dropping down a hole. I'm not sure I can do that again if we're
did it attack you on sight, or was it because of something you did? Was it just sort of...
It was... I threw the rope over the edge, and as I turned around, it was just there in front of me. And I knew as soon as I even tried to move, it had its stinger ready to strike. So I did the only thing I could and protected myself from the... That's why I've only got bite marks instead of my whole arm being decomposing as we speak. I just protected myself the way I could, but as soon as I uttered a sound from my breath, it attacked.
Did it look at you?
It looked like it didn't have eyes. Like it never had eyes.
So maybe it could smell you or hear you?
But that doesn't explain how it attacks from above. When it flies around and picks off the other things below it.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it can fly around, and they say if like you never had it, then everything else is enhanced. So
it could have like really super hearing, couldn't it? If it's always if it's been blind for a while.
bats are basically blind, but they see.
That's true.
I'm more curious to know why it didn't attack you instantly. It attacked you once you made a noise.
Like I said, it didn't have eyes, so maybe it can't. I mean, I give off a lot of sense. Some nice, some not so nice. But yeah,
It might
part of the
not have
reason why I
known what you
collect
were.
leaves is just to protect myself.
If it's out here and it hasn't come across many humanoids, it might not have been sure. You know, if you don't smell like another wyvern or something that it knows as an enemy, it might not have.
You got to remember my cloak as well.
Yeah.
I'm scared
So-
the DM has acquired a Bond level cat.
It is definitely a Bond level cat. She's quite evil.
As we're speaking,
she was
he's
always
just
quite
there.
nice.
He's just there going, continue.
She was always quite nice to me.
She is actually nice, but she just loves to attack you as you walk past. Yeah,
So
I was going to say, do we need to get up there then if we want to attack it, or would it be better to try and catch it somewhere else? I don't know. Was it very open up there?
More than down here. I mean, it being that big and being inside, its movement isn't going to be as efficient as if it's in the air. I wouldn't really want to take this when it has the chance to fly up and just pick us and drop us off.
were there any other caves? Did you see, or any other?
No, I wasn't there that long to see anything further than dragon and cave. I just wanted to. As soon as I was up there and spotted the dragon, I was like, well, if we are going to do this, we're going to need another way in. So
Is it sleeping?
It looked like it was sleeping, but all I did was chuck some rope off the edge, and it woke and was ready to attack. Or maybe a minute, half a minute tops.
I suppose my worry is that even if we don't go, I feel like we need to get up to the same level so that at least we can get the lie of the land. But I'm worried that the minute we do that, it'll know we're there, even if it can't see.
Does anyone have spells to make sound?
I mean, I have my raven that I could send for it to tell something to somebody that speaks.
No, I'm thinking more of like an illusionary spell, but of the smaller variety.
No.
Like a young illusion almost.
I was wondering just who would comment. I was trying to think if there was a way of getting, if it goes by sound, can we trick it to make it go somewhere?
I mean, there is something. There's something I can try. It's not. It's more taking sound away.
I'll put silence on an object.
Makes it, yeah, it gives us about 20 feet where no sound can be made.
So that would be a question, right? If we thought that it was asleep and had moved away from the hole, would we be able to get far enough up the hole to at least chuck a stone out or something that
I've thrown the
put it
rope
on
off the
us.
side.
Taking a look, it can't be on a object or a person. It has to be a point.
Oh,
Oh,
I thought you
okay.
could do it on a
And
stone or
is it
something.
a point that you can see as well?
You choose within range. Doesn't say you need to be able to see it.
Ooh.
So 20-foot radius within 120 foot, but you don't need to be able to see it. So you can just be like 120 foot up that way.
So you'd be able to get halfway up after you've had a rest.
We don't need.
I'm
I'm saying we don't even need to take the hole if we don't want to. We have the rope.
We can't take the hole. Can we stop like saying we can take the hole?
We can't. You can.
No.
No, but I'm saying I'm saying none of it. We don't need to take the
we
whole. We, the collective, we, not
Yeah.
you.
But
we can go up with the rope and cast silence just on that front bit where the rope is.
Yeah, we could.
If we get up a certain amount, and then you can't. If you don't need to see where it is, can you just put it on top of the wyvern itself?
We wouldn't be able to see the wyvern.
I'd have to know where the wyvern is.
You can't you can't specify the wyvern.
No. But you can specify the nest.
Well,
the nest is bigger than a 20-foot area.
120 feet in that direction. It's not.
Really, he has to just give me a distance. If he doesn't know how far, if he can't see the spot, he needs to just say how far and in what direction.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So
that might not cover the nest, is what I'm saying. I don't need to think whole nest will be silent.
Yeah, that's fair.
20 foot around the hole that he emerged from would be silent.
But I also think what Paul said then about doing it sort of just over the top where the rope is, at least us coming out over that ledge, right? In theory, that's then silent where we're coming out over the top of the cliff.
I just worry about us we're climbing up. If its hearing is that good, it could hear us from a much further distance away.
I can still cast Pass Without Trace, guys.
That's still on us, isn't it?
That would have faded now because she did it before. She did it way before you got to the. She did it before you got to the climbing bit portion of the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can do it again because I've got enough spell slots, so we could try and be.
Also, just to say, the target is 20-foot radius sphere, so 40-foot diameter.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it won't cover the whole top, is what.
No. That was fine, but
yeah, you're just establishing it's 40.
That's why I said
20 foot
around the hole because it's 20 foot in all directions from the hole.
Oh right, sorry. Now I understand.
If the hole is your center.
Yep.
So do we? I mean, obviously, let's give Volo a rest. But do we wait for nightfall? Do we give it an hour or so and then go up? I mean, how do we want to do this?
I think if it is resting right now would be better. Because
it's just been
come night
up, hasn't it, by something in its nest?
True. So, but I mean, an hour or so. Give it a chance to
settle down again.
Yeah.
And then we can get Ichi back and.
That's
true. Yes, he was taking back Rufus, wasn't he?
He was. Have you noticed Ichi does a lot of running around when we've got a fight going on?
I didn't want to bring this up, but the entirety of me knowing him, the reason that he was happy to help me so much was I'm effectively his bodyguard.
Okay, so if you're wanting
literally every fight we've been in, he has. Well, even when we were fighting Dante, he was just running up and down corridors.
And when we were in the middle of the race, he won the race for us, and we were in that place fighting. There's an awful lot of running around while we're all fighting stuff.
Even when we encountered those three at the start,
he was on a.
He was in a taxi cab.
Bus, yeah.
You just need a montage of meanwhile, and Ichi's just not.
That's what we need, Liam. We need clips of. And Ichi is running. Next turn.
Okay.
But yeah,
make a death save. Meanwhile, Ichi run another 40 foot.
So let's maybe wait an hour, and that would mean
if
Volu could even have a short rest, couldn't he, if he needed to get some.
Well, that's it. So you can knock off a short rest if you need to. Is there anything else you want to do in the hour? Are you just going to stay in the cave? What's the actual plan?
I think I probably would creep out at least to the entrance where that crack is in the wall and listen, Liam, just to hear, does it sound like it's furious and it's causing absolute chaos, or is it quiet up there now?
So listening, you don't need to roll, but there's a second of focusing in. You can hear growling and crashing, occasionally some rocks You sort of, you're not feeling any rumble or shudder, but you're almost seeing the dust like cascade down from above that sort of tells you they are still thrashing and stomping.
Yeah, he's still pissed.
Does anyone have any potions?
Because
I'm on, even with my dice and stuff, I'm on
I've
half
got
health.
a couple of potions of healing.
How many? Oh, wow.
And I've got a potion of greater healing.
Wow, did you do all your D8s? How did... Oh no, 1d8. So we're...
Volu. So you can
No,
roll you can roll more than just one on a rest. You can roll as many of your d8s as you wish to
You've
spend.
got levels, yeah.
Which is your level. So
But yeah,
like,
if you have,
what's that?
when you
Oh.
go in, if you want to roll all 7, but then remember you
Or you
won't
could
have
roll
any
3.
more. You won't have any more until you full long rest again. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
But
gonna roll it.
You can spend them as you want on a long rest.
yeah, I've
On a
done
short
hit
rest,
dice as well.
7.
I think you have to, but you do have to stay. I mean, right now you didn't know that, but I think you have to stay at the point of rolling how many you're going to use. Is that right?
I did. It still didn't roll it, so I'm just gonna roll
Well,
it.
if you
I don't
click
think
them, it
it
won't
does.
roll
You
them.
still have to roll the number of.
But as
So
in, you should roughly say to me like, I'm rolling 3, but I'm not too phased.
Yeah.
So
I
you
did
say
say
how many you're
I did say I'm
rolling,
doing 3, so I've
but
done
then
2.
you
I've done
have
2.
to. But then you still have to roll it separately. I don't think that it does it for you.
Yeah, it doesn't do the
and
roll.
you get the plus every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever it says as like D6 plus whatever, D8 plus whatever.
Yeah.
You
so
get
essentially all the dice plus 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus 3 lots of the plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, that helps me a little bit more. Puts me on 36 out of 45.
That's much better.
Okay, that makes me a bit more ready.
Yeah, I used to get myself back up to full health.
And at the end of the hour, Liam, is it still thrashing around and kicking off up there?
So about 20 minutes in, 30 minutes, it starts almost doing, definitely still aggressive, but not the same kind of roar it did when it thought it had food.
Okay.
But for a Lenny, it's almost threat territory displaying. So there's maybe 10 minutes of like screeching and
this is my cliff. Stay off it.
yeah, because again, and for Eleni, you're probably imagining if it is properly blind, it doesn't know what was there. For all it knows, it was a small wyvern that was just trying to steal its food or whatever. So it's done the fighting, it's broken everything in sight, it's now roaring and scaring away any competition. About 40 minutes in, it fully settles and goes quiet again.
Okay. So in which case,
it is time.
It is time. So pass without trace lasts for an hour.
Okay, Rafiki.
Thank you.
So I am going to then cast pass without trace on us, which gives us that plus 10 to stealth. And then is the rope all the way to the bottom, Liam, or did you say it was dangling?
So as you sort of go out and look, it's about 40 foot. So if we said last time, so he was 20 foot off the floor to get to the hole, and then the hole itself was 220 foot, and he has 200 foot of rope. So if you imagine it's 40 foot up, and that's where the rope starts.
Right. So actually, before I cast pass without trace, we need to work out how to get to that rope. I can actually do this, Liam. Have we got any rope left at all? Or was that all of our rope? That was everybody's, wasn't it?
That is everybody's.
Because I can fly. Only 10 feet per round, but I can fly. So I could I could do my writhing tide thing as a bonus action. That gives me a flying speed of 10 feet. And that'd get me up to the rope. But I'm then like, if we haven't got any other rope, how do I? I'm just looking at what I've got. Hang on. How bad is the cliff itself? Could we climb up the cliff to get to the rope?
I mean, that was what my plan was going to be.
Yeah, it's just we don't have advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. The worrying bit is, so a small failure might not be a big thing, but if you imagine that this plateau, the plateau you're already stood on, is already 70, 80 foot up.
Yeah.
So if you were to fail a check, even if you were only 10 foot off the plateau, a 1, for example, might cause you to then roll off it. It's an unsteady position to be doing a 40-foot climb.
So how much do you two weigh?
I don't weigh that much. 44 pounds.
I haven't got a Scooby.
It'll tell you in your inventory.
Weight carried is 117 pounds.
So that's 117. And what are you, 44? Is that what
But
you're
then-
carrying?
That might be what I'm carrying.
Robin?
That doesn't sound enough.
And I have a carrying capacity of 360.
Oh, I'm only 39 pounds.
Right, hang on.
Where did you find you?
Background.
This is where Chris goes, I didn't do a height and a weight. For what I am.
Did you?
Yes,
Yes.
I always do.
I am 3'2",
Oh,
only
you know
39
what?
pounds.
So I've got a
I-
carrying capacity of 360 pounds, right? So, and I've got a lift of 720, but I think it'd be the carrying, wouldn't it, Liam? I'm thinking, what could I literally carry them up to the rope? I mean, actually, I could do one at a time if I couldn't do them both at once.
So
But then it's multiple checks for you instead of them just
But
doing
no, I'm
some
flying.
checks.
I'm literally just flying up to the rope.
Yeah.
And then flying back down and then flying up with the next one.
Yeah.
Well,
So it'll take 12 rounds to do all three of us.
The average weight of a fire ganassi is 140 pounds.
A round is 6 seconds, Paul, and it's nothing.
So when you add both mine together, it's 257.
I think I can do you one at a time, and it's going to take maximum like 2-3 minutes, isn't it? Just to do that 40 foot up and down.
Did you say that you could do you can't carry, but your lift is higher?
So my push drag and lift is 720, but carrying capacity is 360.
Well, if you just give me a hoist and push me up, gives me the additional help for me to be able to jump and get up there.
But like I said, if I'm flying up with you anyway, it's like.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. So if you would.
Yeah, I'll cast the right.
Yeah, because your stuff's what, 160 something, 170 something.
117 and
then
average is 140.
Let's say
257.
250-ish. She can carry that as long as that's the only thing she's carrying.
Yeah.
So have you got no other equipment on you?
Well, she's got 360, so she's got another 100.
Yeah.
She could literally put her bag down for a minute while she gets you on the rope and then go back for a bit. You know what I mean? There's ways around it. So you could even carry, Volu could carry a backpack while she gets you.
So I think I would do that. Let's get everyone onto the rope. Then I'll cast Pass Without Trace. So we can all roll a stealth with +10. And then it's the climbing up the rope, isn't it?
Okay, so as you sort of head out onto the ledge, you can almost feel the sort of tension in the mountains, thin air. And above, the wind seems to have dulled and the sky itself is shifting towards that middle afternoon, late afternoon sun. Okay. You can get everybody up to the rope.
Should we do stealths?
Cast, and I need first a stealth, and then as you begin to climb, an athletics. Also, what is your order?
I think I should probably be first, I'd imagine.
I'm probably going to be last if I'm carrying people up and then going back again.
I'll be in the middle.
Okay.
Oh, and EG wants to be first.
Ichi's not with us if we're going right now.
Ichi's staying at the bottom of the rope for now.
Shit. So that's an 18.
Can we have him up the rope at least halfway or something, just for next week when he does turn up, he actually gets to join in a fight.
That's it. Well, you know, you're going to end up off the top of this mountain anyway.
Quite possibly, but so it's that kind of thing. It's just like
Let's
let's
see
have
where
him
we
in the
fall.
area.
Let's see
But
where
if he
we
doesn't
fall.
partake,
Can we quickly send the Raven to him to say this is what we're doing, so then he can start making his
I mean,
way anyway?
realistically, he would be back by now. It's been an hour.
Yeah.
It doesn't take him an hour to go and come. So yeah, he's just waiting at the bottom of the rope, securing the way down while you're.
Saying,
And
why are we
again,
doing
as
this
far
again?
as he knows, you're not fighting it right now. Why are you going
yes,
to
we
go?
is because we've just told him.
No, you haven't. No, nothing you just said fight. You said let's go have a look and see what it looks like and see what's possible up there. None of you said we're going to go attack it right now.
I think I did.
No,
I think I did, but not recently while Ichi's been here.
not this. No, I mean not this session. You have not said it. I've been waiting.
I actually said, is it possible to go and kill it? How
Yeah.
that?
But
we had the discussion.
How would we do that? Do we need to look? We need to have a look at what it looks like up there. No one said we're going right now to murder it. For all you know, you're going to get up there and the ledge isn't big enough to fight on. I'm just saying.
So, semantics. Ichi, we're going off to kill this thing. Do you want to come?
No. Stay there.
Ichi realizes he's never been in the fights. He's like, I'll just make sure we're safe down here. I'll be up with you in a second.
Like I said, even if he's not in the fight during this, it'd be good if he's in the area.
Yeah.
I said he's at the bottom of the rope.
200 feet.
That's within the area.
It's quite funny. We've been ribbing him, and then he's going to come and save the day.
It's going to be quite funny when he climbs to the top of the 200-foot rope and then you fall off and end up at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
let's wait till the end of the session before we make any decisions about what we're doing next week. So.
200 feet plus the fact that it'll be slow because he doesn't have a climb speed.
Look, we haven't even got to the end of the session. Keep with you. I'll throw some extra shit in there and he won't even make it at all.
Let's not piss off the DM. Let's climb up.
Remember, he has a bond level cat.
Equally, Liam.
I said you'd die by psychic damage, didn't I?
Yeah, it's going to be 4 damage at this rate.
Right.
So
the dragon snips the rope.
You begin the climb. So first off the stealth and then the climbs.
Oh, sorry. So stealth was 18 total, which is shit. And athletics
16.
Do we get advantage because we've got a rope on the athletics?
Yes.
My stealth was 24 with the plus 10, so that wasn't particularly great either. Athletics.
Athletics 14 for me, Liam.
Stealth 14, athletics 19.
Ooh. Athletics 26, stealth 24.
Nice.
Very nice.
Okay, so you start making your way up, and Volu, if you thought it was slow shimmying up the inside of a shaft, doing this and carefully and gently is even slower. I'd say that by the time you reach the sort of halfway mark, Dante, you're a good 30 foot ahead of everyone else. Like not through going faster, just that they're having to stop and like, what's my next way up? And you're just not. You're sort of just seeing the path, and you know at points you're just using the rope as a grip while you hold onto the rock and pull yourself up past it. And
not to mention I am faster than Volu by 15 feet.
Yeah, which half speed doesn't really change anything.
True.
You can go an extra 5 foot around.
7.5, it counts.
Yeah. But yes, as we make it to halfway, I need a second athletics as you sort of crest that halfway point. The air's starting to get a little thin. And I think for all of you, you're hyper aware of there's this occasional screech, and almost if you imagine there are smaller wyverns moving around away from this spot because of the display that had happened previously, but you are aware of their movement.
So that was completely shit. I rolled a 1 and then a 4, so that's a total of 5.
At least it saved you from the 1.
What was the athletics you did before? So you got athletics just before mine.
Yeah, the athletics before was a 14.
That was the first climb.
That was the first climb.
I've asked for a second.
Sorry.
Oh, you've asked for a second climb. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, there was a noise that I needed to say.
Oh, I wish I got a 1. I can re-roll ones.
Natural 20.
Bloody hell.
Don't worry, all of this is happening.
Just to ruin this natural 20 streak, can you do me a perception quickly, please?
Oh, God.
No, I don't want to. Don't want to do that. Come on, can it be anything else? Can it be investigation?
No.
Dickhead.
Oh, hang on, advantage.
Oh, God, Paul.
11 for a grand total of 10.
Okay.
9 with it.
It's better
With
than a
advantage.
3.
Okay. It is better than a 3.
I rolled a 2 and an 8.
You guys are going for a bit longer, right? And you are making your way up. For Lenny, as you're gripping the rope and you put your foot on a ledge and it just snaps, the entire ledge goes. And as you if you imagine you were one hand on, one hand off as you were sort of traversing, you slide a good 20 foot down the rope.
Ow.
Taking 8 points of damage.
Ooh.
As you sort of friction burn.
That's a lot of damage.
Managing to... You slid 20 foot down a rope, and I assume you're not going to let go.
No.
I'm assuming you don't want to let go.
I don't want to let go, although I do still have Writhing Tide bonus action, so I would fall a bit, but I could do another fly thingy if I wanted.
You could be like, fly!
I'm holding it for now because I'm a bit worried about might need it when I'm up there. But yeah.
Yeah. For Dante, for Volu, your slip, you continue climbing, and your slip is more of a... Like, you slip and you're, like, steady in place and you can't move at all. And Dante, with your, luckily, an average 10 perception, you only get about 10 foot on further before you notice that no one else is following. And you look down and Volu is frozen, like, legs wrapped, arms wrapped, not moving. And Eleni is, like, 20 foot further down. You could have swore she was... further along with that. Just letting you know what's happened. Do you want to continue? Or are you
no. Dante will wait because he's not stupid.
Okay. More time than anything sort of is what's impeded. Is you manage to pull yourselves back up and continue moving. A final athletics bowl. Dante, for the Nat 20, you are exempt from this one. But a final athletics from Eleni and Volu to finish. As for Dante, you slowly start to see the crest of where the plateau sort of flattens out.
That was much better. That was an 18.
Okay.
14.
Okay. All of you seeming to move. As you're getting closer and closer to the top, that nervousness rises as every loose stone or every drop of a piece of object threatens to betray your presence to the creature above. And Dante, for you first, as you just ahead crest that top ridge, you see the creature, like lying almost on its side with its limbs twisted under itself, breathing very, very slow but steady. You can see just behind it a dome-like nest. And there's other sort of shapes and mounds further into if you imagine that the mountain itself sort of concaves, giving a bit of like a half cave, and then they've used twigs and sticks and other things to finish off the other half of the curve to sort of make an almost dome-like nest rather than an underneath nest, if that makes sense. And you can see other shapes inside, but only one of them is
I was about to say
steadily
for multiple.
They all, so none of them look as big as that, but they all look bigger than your baby wyverns. But looking around with the perception you got, you can only see one of them breathing. You see the steady rise and fall of its stomach and chest.
Would this be classed as? Would they be classed as incapacitated?
Hard to tell. If they are truly sleeping, yes.
Okay. Dante's going to look down. How far down is everybody?
So you see Volu fairly tired, but about 10 foot behind you, and Eleni just below him there.
Catching up.
Dante's just going to look down at him.
Motion for silence.
And Dante's just going to be making various gestures, and you guys can decide if I'm making this right. So there's one near to the one that's on site, but it's not it's not the big boy.
No, you haven't seen the big boy, so you don't know.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you've seen, that is definitely a big fucking wyvern that's lying on its side and sleeping. Whether it's that's the one, or whether one of the mounds in the background is the one, it's hard to tell, because you haven't seen the what Volu saw, if that makes sense.
Okay, so...
And it's about 20 foot in. If you imagine as well, just for description, this ledge is almost like a crescent moon shape, going maybe 60 foot from end to end, and being about 30 foot at its deepest point, at its widest, if you imagine the thickest part of the moon. The wyvern in the cave is like pressed up on the other side. So all of the forms are maybe about 20 foot from the edge of the ledge, like almost as far as you can go from the edge, if that makes sense.
So Dante's going to look down and just kind of like, and for our audio listeners only, he will put his finger to his lip to suggest silence, and then is going to gesture, put one finger up, and then kind of try to make some sort of gesture to say closer. And then, because I don't know what the other number is, I'm going to just do 1, 2, 3, 4, shrug, and gesture to be further away. Whether or not you guys can understand any of all that, that's up to you guys.
I bet they pick it up while they're grabbing it. As you sort of take another look back, can you give me an insight, Dante only? As you're sort of looking over, you can see bones litter the ridge, and the scent is thick. There's like blood, an almost coppery acidic smell, and then something sweet but rotting.
I just rolled well on a wisdom skill. I'm happy. Got 16.
Yay!
Okay. You think that's pretending to be asleep? There was almost like, if you imagine if somebody's sleeping, even if there's a pause or whatever, you would expect that sort of steady rhythm of breath. There's almost, Dante, a second where if it had eyes, it just peaked. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it had eyes, it just had a moment where it was like, and then the breathing started again like normal, if that makes sense.
It's basically Lincoln, who is awake when he snores.
Most dogs that want your food, they're just like, I'm not.
There with the eyes closed,
closer.
but it sounds too much like he's asleep for him to actually be asleep. Yeah.
Dante's gonna look and just be like, he's just gonna go. For audio listeners, he mouthed the word fuck.
Well, that's literally what would have happened anyway, because we're still in the silence.
You haven't cast silence yet.
We haven't cast it yet.
Because silence is when you got up here. You had to do it once you were up here. You have passed without
We
trace
did
that's giving
talk
you the
about
+10.
casting it
Yeah,
halfway up. We
yeah,
talked
we did
about
say
that, but we
halfway
haven't.
up.
Yeah.
Well, I would say because you talked about it, you can still have done that if you wanted to, but you need to check it off.
Yeah. Sorry, I had like.
No, it's all good.
Factored that in and realised I didn't actually even say I did it, but yeah, no.
Yeah, so there is. Yeah, you do mouth the word fuck.
Then in that way, I actually shouted it, but it's the same.
Yeah.
But I'm going to look and just kind of again, it's all done with gesture because we can't even say anything now. It's just like one closer sees us.
I'm gonna telepathy to him and be like, more. How many?
Just shrugs.
I was going to say this as well. Thinking about it, you definitely only saw one. Like there wasn't even space on the ledge for that many to be moving around.
But you said there were multiple mounds.
There are multiple mounds, but Volu didn't see that when he was there.
No.
But in terms of like, Volu's thinking like wingspan, like because the creature might be able to all stand in a huddle on there, but actually like earlier it was like wings out fighting. Three or four shouldn't be able to stand up there wings out fighting.
So it's safe to assume this is not. These are not the dragons we're looking for. Wyvern.
They're not the wyverns we're looking for.
Thank you.
I'll telepathy go in. Can you see marks of the infection on all of them?
I'm guessing I can.
So the one that's closest and almost lying out of the nest, at the foot of the nest almost, definitely. Eyes, the scales are almost like a purplish bluish tinge. The claws are elongated, like everything about it. The others, one of them you think so. There's almost like an extra growth. Sort of, if you imagine the sort of silhouette of it, and then there's like an extra sort of spiky growth out of its back. The other one doesn't look like it, but it's hard to tell from here.
Dante has a bottle of ink.
Okay.
Just that, I just wanted to show you.
Randomly.
No. I feel like this is a trap. Because there's this one thing here who's pretending to sleep. Now, I don't know for sure if it's waiting for us or if it's just on guard pretending to be. Actually, no, I won't use the bottle of ink. I will just use a stone. Can I just find a stone that's loose, something that's like around on the cliff edge or something like that? I'm assuming that's fine.
Yeah, so enough.
And then I'm yeeting it to like the top, as far as I can, but say to like above on the cliff so it can then fall down. I'm hoping it's outside of the silence. Actually, how many of these things are in the silence?
None of them are in it.
None of them are in it.
I thought you said this thing was 20 foot from the edge.
Well, the
20-foot
first
radius
one is at the edge of it.
Right.
If you imagine, because you're not on the edge, you're still off the edge.
No, I know.
So you're the 5 foot square off the edge of it, and then it's 20 foot into the ledge. So it's currently 25.
It's a radius.
So it's a radius. Yeah. So if
it's 40 foot.
You put the point there on the edge, so it goes 20 foot in.
You just said that
I imagined that Paul was going to.
I didn't think he was. Yeah,
you didn't. Is he putting? That's what I mean. No.
Again, we didn't say we said that because he didn't have to see it. He can go over there, but 120 feet.
Yeah, but then
we never said it was going to be on the edge.
No, my assumption was he'd do it straight upwards. No one said otherwise, but feel free to say otherwise. But there's almost a level of he still needs to be able to know where roughly it is, right?
So it's about 10 feet hanging off, so it'd be 10 feet in.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
To give us space to climb up as well.
Well, it's more like we'll make sound going up, so we need it to we do need it to be off the edge.
Yeah, we do.
So giving us 10 feet of grace.
I'm fine with 10 foot in. So the first one should be in it. The mounds and the nest is not.
Okay, so the one that's in it won't even hear me if I throw this thing.
Nope, because it is deaf right now.
Yep.
The others wouldn't they, if you throw it?
So I'm just going to throw the stone as far as I can to, like I said, above the thing, the cave entrance, as it were.
Okay, give me an athletics to see how close to exactly where you wanted it. There's no like fail or succeed really here, but
that's good because I think that's a 1. Is that a 1? Yes, it is a 1.
That is a 1.
Thank you, Liam.
Yeah, it's a good job I said no failures. Honestly, it used to be like you don't even hit the mountain. Dante just missed a mountain with a rock.
To be honest, I thought you were going to say that I hit the sleeping dragon.
So, you launch the rock. And where I'm going to say the 1 goes is actually the first bounce where it hits rock is in the silence. Right? So there's no loud of rock on rock, but there is then scattering down. Dante would definitely note the wyvern, the first one anyway, the closest one that's pretending to be asleep, it reacted to the noise when it was in the silence.
Oh,
shit.
Reacted to the noise or reacted to the stones falling? Because that could be like tremor sense.
So it reacted to the rock hitting rock, but at the point that no noise came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right? it's reacting as if it's seen something in its eyesight.
It reacted as if it heard it. Like, that's why I said it reacted to the noise. There was almost a correlating, like, that level of movement.
Because I was thinking, like, something like tremor sense, if it would also happen at the point of impact, wouldn't it? That they would.
Mm-hmm. You see it lifts its head up and it turns in that direction.
I don't know how blind sight works.
It does some deep huffs out as it sniffs the air. And for Dante and probably Volu, you're the only other one that could maybe peek at this distance, because Eleni, you're a bit too far down to fully get to the ledge. Again, I'm not making assumptions, so nobody said they're cresting the ledge.
No, I'm still below.
No. My assumption is you're all hanging from the edge like this, having a little look.
So I thought it was one rope, and Dante.
Scooby-Doo style.
That's why I said Volu. I think could climb up Dante and take a little peek over the shoulder.
I'm too big.
But Eleni, you're sort of stuck down below.
Yeah.
So, firstly, even though definitely giving some sense of senses, because even though it's very clearly blind, the head snap was not, something in that direction. It was like pinpoint.
Okay.
Its wings twitch as you almost see, and again, Dante, the wings it has, it's not that the wings don't look functional, it's that the wings don't look the right size for the body. And you see you don't think this creature can just set off as it wants. You almost see it very, very slowly shifting its wings into like a position it could set off from. Does that make sense? But it has to like prep itself to take off, rather than some of the smaller wyverns you've seen that literally just like into the air.
But it didn't react to... Sorry.
They didn't react to you talking.
Did the others react?
No movement from the other man.
Dante.
Did they move when it did make a sound, or did they not move at all?
Not a single bit of movement from those shapes.
Dante is going to just look down at Eleni and just be like?
So
Did I
Dante,
see
you
what?
see,
Did I see what happened?
Oh yeah, because you could just tell her. Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna tell. I'm just gonna
Telepathy.
telepathy it.
For Dante, the breathing grows really harsh, as again, it's almost like filtering the air through its teeth. You know, like as if it's doing like a, as it's taking in some really deep breaths, and you see its claws flexing against the ground again, as if it's getting ready.
Dante is going to look at Volu and just kind of go,
5.
Dante is going to crest the edge, as it were, because how close is the wyvern to me? Did we say
Right
30?
now, 20 feet. So 20, yeah, well, once you climb the edge, 20 foot.
So I'm going to climb the edge. I am staying on the edge, which is dangerous as well. And I'm going to just crouch down, taking dodge action. So I'm still very much in kind of stealth mode. Has it reacted to me at all? Because presumably it's looking at me. We figured out that it's probably blind.
Well, so it's not even looking your direction. And what I will say is you are still stealthy. Your stealth from before is running. It's still fixated on where the rock hit. And it slowly starts to crawl. Again, Dante is keeping a position of if I needed to set off, I could. But it is crawling away from you now towards where the sound.
If Dante's got onto the ledge, I would go up the rope further to be higher up.
See. Yeah.
I'm going to ignite the Crimson Rite. I'm going to, because obviously I don't have to make any noise to do that. It is just take myself some damage. So
you notice as it's getting a little closer to where the sound was, it's almost like shifting its head. And then Dante, you see it like opens up its mouth, but not in like a roar or not in like a bite. It's almost like, you know, if you just like let your jaw hang, it's almost like it just like, and there's like a.
How do we hear anything?
It moved out. It moved away from you out of the. Well,
It's
you
out
can't
of the
hear.
But we're still in it.
You can't hear. Okay, so all you see it do is open its mouth, almost slack jaw, and like at the rock, like up and down on the rock. Before Dante, as your sword, again, it lifts its head. This time, not like when the rock hit. It's not like to the sword, but there is. And Dante, for you, and the last thing I'm going to leave you with, as we are going to bring an end to this to this part of the episode, the only thing that your sword did just then that gave off anything noticeable is there was a small whoosh of air. Again, no whoosh, but there was almost that heat air, and then it's hot. And again, it's not that it, sword. It was like it went, something the fuck is up. Do you know what I mean? Like it just knew that there was
a like something.
For
Okay,
Dante,
I'm
with your running intelligence, you definitely think there's some sort of tremor sense, but also it would make sense up this high if it could sense air patterns and airflow.
That explains how they can pick on the other wyverns. That was the bit that I've been trying to figure out.
They can feel the wing beat almost of the air, and the different, when something comes swooping through, they get a rush of air and they follow it, right? They're just beelining that airflow. So that whoosh of that sword just give there's almost like something might have just set off over there because there was a buff of air or an uplift of air almost. And as that tense moment pauses, that is where we will end part 1 of this episode. Thank you very much for joining. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you're enjoying the adventure so far, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can find out if the players are going to survive this crazy adventure. And as always, roll well. Bye.
This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.